Alright guys, we are back with some more Monster Energy Supercross 6. Today we have a big direct comparison between Supercross 4, 5, and this game 6. We also do have a little bit later in the video a comparison side by side between Supercross 3 and 6. And the reason I wanted to do that was because, one, somebody was asking for it. I forget who you are, but somebody was asking for it, so this is for you. And I thought it was a good idea because 3 is my favorite Supercross game, and I've said that there's little bits of this game that kind of remind me of that game. So I wanted to do it, plus it gave me a chance to go back and refresh my memory of some of these games because some of them I haven't played in a very long time. So we're going to be jumping over into the first comparison, which would be between 4, 5, and 6. So here we go. This gameplay, I used Cooper Web to keep consistency and tested on Salt Lake. 4, 5, and 6 all had the Salt Lake round. Obviously 4 had a bunch of them because of the way that season unfolded and whatnot, but yeah, I would say, I mean, I do have the bike sounds going. You probably can't hear them because I turned them way down because it was just really awkward and kind of annoying hearing all the bike sounds, you know, layered over each other the way I have the video set up. So I turned them way down, but the bike sounds definitely have been changed from year to year a bit. I mean, they're basically the same thing, but for example, Supercross 4 was a much more muted, quiet, deeper, you know, just a deeper tone of sound to the bike. And then in Supercross 5 and 6, they sound pretty similar, a bit more crisp. I would say over the years, Milestone has gotten a more crisp sound out of the bike sound. So that's a bit different. And I would say the biggest issue I have with Supercross 4, 5 and 6 are pretty similar. As you can see, they're pretty similar. But Supercross 4, the scaling of the tracks was a bit weird. It felt like the jumps were just way too big. We got way too much air off those jumps. I mean, we would be going through a rhythm section and be getting more air time than hitting a Supercross triple off of a much smaller jump. So I felt like I didn't remember that. It had been a while since I played this game, but yeah, the scaling of the tracks in Supercross 4 felt way too big, and you know, whatever. But the stadium, you know, that's pretty much the same. I would say the graphics are very similar. Maybe 4 and 5 is a little bit better, but yeah, Supercross 5 felt very similar to Supercross 6. Not as good in my opinion. I feel like Supercross 6 is the best version out of these 3 games for sure. Just the addition of the inside berms is really fun to take. They had some very small physics changes that improve the gameplay. Just minor, yeah, minor. I'm not trying to say that, oh yeah, huge changes. No, just minor, but it did make it more fun. And the tracks were scaled better, for sure. I feel like the tracks are scaled better in this game right here, Supercross 6. So yeah, I think, in my opinion, out of the last 3, and the reason I did the last 3 is because those are the games that it feels like Milestone just kind of, you know, hasn't been putting in as much effort into to make really fun and make good changes to the game. You know, these 3 games are very similar. They all have the same basic concept where you have the push the sticks together, pull them apart to do the whip. You do have freedom of the bike and rider, but it isn't the freedom we want. And the bike sounds are similar. The track editors are almost exactly the same. The customization's exactly the same. You know, there really isn't too much differences here. But yeah, if I had to say, if you haven't bought a Supercross game and you were looking at 4, 5, and 6, I would suggest you pick up 6 because I feel like it's the best version, the most fun version for me. Maybe not for you. I'm just saying, in my opinion, you can take it for what you want, that this is the most fun game. But if you have picked up a Supercross game in the past, you know, especially 4 or 5, no, you're probably not going to want to pick this one up. Yes, it does things better, but I don't know if it's enough better to justify spending the $50, $60 full AAA price tag, you know? The reason I say 50, 60 is because I believe on Steam it's 50, but on console it's still $60. So yeah, you also got to take into consideration, are we getting any post-release content? Is there going to be any DLC? But here we switch over. We'll come back to that. Here we switch over to Supercross 3 and Supercross 6. So we didn't have Salt Lake in Supercross 3, I don't believe. And so I had to do Arlington, and a pretty easy track, but you can still get an idea. I don't think it really matters if it's the same track. But Supercross 3, in my opinion, was the best Supercross game they've ever done. You know, they redid it from the ground up, kind of. I mean, they had the same concept. You still have to push the sticks together, pull them apart to do the whip. But we finally got more freedom of the bike and rider in the air. You could swing them around and do a different whip from, besides doing the stick whip, you could maneuver him in the air. You know, with Supercross 1 and 3, you really didn't have any freedom of the bike and rider. I mean, a little bit, but not really. And then they changed the rider model, probably added some different animations. The bike sounds are a bit different. Gave us a great compound with the factory test tracks, one of the coolest compounds in my opinion, they've ever done. The biggest downfall to 3, the biggest one, was that there was an endo glitch, and there probably was the whip corner glitch. I don't think it was a wheelie glitch. It turned into the wheelie glitch later, but it was the endo glitch. So basically what you did was you endoed if you were going to case, and it would give you a speed boost. And you'll see us do it here in the left gameplay, where down the rhythm section before the big whoop section, we endo just to get that speed boost, and it's so easy to jump some of this stuff. I mean, I didn't do it, I didn't exaggerate it, but we definitely did it. And so in my opinion, that would be the biggest downside to this game. I felt like the bike sounds were okay. Yeah, they could always be better, but I felt like they were okay. The rider models had been kind of slimmed down a bit. I think the way the rider sits on the bike, the way he corners, is probably better in Supercross 6. You know, he feels more square with the bike. Maybe a bit more stiff. I've seen some of you guys saying the game appears to be stiff. Of course, it is pretty stiff. Most of the time, milestone games are pretty stiff, but I don't know if he's more stiff. The biggest problem I have with 6 with the way he sits on the bike when he turns is that sometimes if you turn really hard, the way he sticks his leg out is really weird. Sometimes it's fine, but if you really lean him for an extended period of time, that leg gets a bit odd, a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, positives and negatives, but in my opinion, Supercross 3 was the best game as far as Supercross is concerned that they've ever done. Supercross 1 was really good. Probably, I know some people say it was their favorite game. Supercross 2 was good, but it wasn't my favorite game. And again, or maybe I didn't say it, but the reason I didn't do a comparison between 1 and 2 is because those games are far enough back that they are different. I know people have said that it's copy and paste every year. I would disagree with that. I would say Supercross 1 and 3, or 1 and 2 and 3 are all pretty different from each other, with the exception of Supercross 2 being a not as good version of 1. But I mean, Supercross 1 to Supercross 3, there was enough changes to say they put in the work. They did. But it feels like lately, Milestone has kind of gotten away from that. I don't know if it's because the games aren't selling as good, or if they just have too many projects happening, or what the case is, but it definitely feels like they've gotten away from putting any effort or more effort into developing a better game, moving the game forward. I mean, I would say they moved it forward a bit this year, but that comes with the saying of they moved it backwards with 4 and 5. I said that 4 and 5 was okay, but I wouldn't say they were better than 3. And this one isn't probably better than 3 either, but it is better than 4 and 5. So they went forwards with 3, they went backwards with 4 and 5, and then they kind of moved forwards again with 6 here, but not to where they were. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And then, like I was saying before we did the comparison of 3 to 6, I was saying that we don't really know what kind of post-release content there will be. Usually there's a season pass. I haven't really checked because I haven't looked on the console, but usually there's a season pass where you get, you know, they give us legends packs or tracks or something. I don't really know if we're getting that. Maybe they've kind of moved to the MXGP side and they're not gonna do any of that. We don't really know. If you do know, if you have seen it on console, let me know in the comments, because as far as I know, they haven't mentioned it. Usually they say something before the game releases. They talk about a roadmap for what they plan on doing with the game before it releases. So, yeah, just, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer. I'm happy that I feel like the game is better than 4 and 5, but I'm disappointed that it feels like the game isn't enough better, there isn't enough good changes to it to tell you to say, justify, yeah, you should buy the game. I can't say that. I definitely can't. I can't say it confidently, because I don't know. In my opinion, it is better. It is better than 4 and 5, and I'm having fun with it, and there are some good stuff to take away from it. But there's also a whole bunch of stuff that disappoints me, that the track editor and the customization aren't good. They've been that way for years. It's the same thing. The compound is fun, but I feel like it wasn't done. It just didn't. It feels like they could have put more time into it. The inside ruts, the berms are fun. Gameplay changes are good, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'd be really curious to see. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.